Okay, should I just start?
And we are live. Let me go through our introduction real quick. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live with Leo at 5. Happy that you can join us today. I have a super special guest with me. I think everyone here would be interested in this topic. Recently, I had posted a question to people about what they are doing to keep healthy and to keep their immune system strong regarding all the stuff that's going on with the coronavirus and everything. And I had reached out to a friend and he had introduced me to our special guest today. Her name is Kristin Harris, and she is a certified holistic nutritionist. There's a lot of syllables there, but I was able to get it out. And I'm going to let her introduce herself more about her profession, but I also want to see if she can talk a little bit about her journey up to this point to become where she is and how she helps coaching her clients and getting them nice and healthy, as well as keeping them healthy over the long term. So I'll let you go ahead and start with that, Kristin.
Thank you, Leo, and thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm happy to be here. So yes, I'm a certified holistic nutritionist. I also am an HTMA expert, which stands for hair tissue mineral analysis, which is a specific type of lab testing. And I'm actually soon to be a functional diagnostic nutritionist, which is a group of health coaches and practitioners that utilize functional lab testing to uncover hidden stressors that are contributing to dysfunction or disease in the body. And I have a real passion for health and wellness, and basically I came to nutrition by no accident at all. I had my own health problems. About 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with androgenetic alopecia, which is female pattern baldness. And I was in my late 20s at the time. And so, for a young woman of that age to be told that you're going to lose your hair and you have to use Rogaine for the rest of your life, that was a huge, wake up call. Like, what's going on? I'm too young for this. And then on top of it, I had digestive issues, which were not diagnosed from the conventional field, but I did seek out holistic practitioners, and I was told I had leaky gut syndrome. A lot of people have heard that word before if you're familiar with digestive disorders. So I knew I had a lot of issues to unpack and uncover, and I decided not to use conventional medicine because I just didn't like the idea of using Rogaine for the rest of my life. And I didn't like the idea of using an antidepressant because I was having depression, anxiety, acne, a lot of things going on. And so I sought out holistic practitioners, specifically a kinesiologist who is trained in nutrition and also trained in HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis. So that practitioner utilized that lab test for me. We did some muscle testing for food allergies, and we found out I was intolerant to so many foods, including like wheat, dairy, soy. And so basically, I had to adopt a new lifestyle with all of this new information. And I changed my diet. I was a vegetarian and vegan for a really long time. And I couldn't do that anymore because there were a lot of those foods I was intolerant to, like the soy category. So I actually ended up adding meat back into my diet. And that was a huge game changer for me. That was hard too, because yeah, it was a big deal. But yeah, I learned a lot through that. And I was really inspired to just learn it myself. I wanted to learn as much as possible, learn about the digestive system and how that impacts our overall health and wellness. Because as I changed my diet and I removed food intolerances, I got better. My symptoms improved. My acne went away. My depression went away, my anxiety went away. So I got really passionate about it, and I enrolled in a nutrition program in Berkeley, California at Bowman College, which I highly recommend if anybody's interested in nutrition. And it just changed my world. So I kept going from there, and I just wanted to learn more. And I ended up working with a local functional medicine practitioner who also utilizes these lab tests to look for food intolerances, heavy metal exposures, um, anything contributing to imbalance in the body. And that inspired me further to take more certifications and to learn more.
Wow, that is super, super amazing. There is so much in there that I want to ask you about. Um, but you know, I just I'm always so inspired by people like you who have had some serious issues, and they really took charge, you know, of the problems and went ahead and seek out the right counsel, the right methods, and the right ways of doing things, and not giving up on it, and really, really coming out on the other side as you have. But a question for you. I was curious as you were talking. So up to the point where you were diagnosed, did you have any idea like what was going on with you? Did you have some symptoms? You were kind of like, I'm not sure what's going on, but you know what? Let's just kind of wait and see. Did you always have some sort of symptoms throughout your life? And lastly, what caused you to grow up in a kind of a vegan lifestyle that kind of led up to this big event that you described?
Those are all fantastic questions because they all relate to each other. And to be honest, I didn't have any health issues growing up. I never had food allergies. I didn't have digestive issues. It wasn't until stress started piling up in my life and I traveled abroad that I started to have more digestive issues and notice more skin reactions. But I was working 3 jobs, living in the Bay Area. I was a teacher. I was a tutor also. And I was in that hustle and bustle mentality, like working the grind. And it was not healthy. And then on top of it, I had done some traveling. In fact, I had this moment where I was like, I need a sabbatical. I need to get away from the Bay Area. I need to quit and I need to do something completely different. And I decided to move abroad. I had lived in China in the past, and so I know some of my heavy metal exposures came from there. For example, like they burn coal there, and so there's mercury in the air, and the water is highly contaminated. So I knew I probably picked up a parasite or two. But I just needed time to unpack all of that and make decisions for myself. And so I ended up moving abroad to France. And I was teaching English at the time, but I had a lot of time to myself because their way of life is so much more slower and focused on health and socializing and social networks and eating really well. And so I had so much time to think about the way they live their life and the way they view health and what's important to them and their values. And I really took so much of that away with me. And it was at the end of my contract teaching there that I made the decision to go back to school again and to study nutrition, because I could see how much healthier of a culture they were. And they didn't really have obesity there. They didn't really talk about having, acne. I didn't see acne. It was rare to see that. And they had very little processed foods. And I worked with high school students, and they were just so intelligent and analytical thinkers, and they were inspiring in itself. So that was a major push for me to go back to school and change my lifestyle. And then in terms of the vegan and vegetarian components, I really got into that because it was preached as being healthy at the time. Like everybody was into tofu, everybody was into soy products, and everybody wanted to get away from meat and I would say conventional meat and dairy because we know that those practices are not healthy as well. Like the animals aren't treated well and they're given hormones and antibiotics. So I was in that mindset that I was doing the world a service by changing my diet and becoming a vegan or vegetarian. But when living in France, that's unheard of. Like when you tell somebody you're a vegetarian, they're like, oh, okay, well, can you eat fish? You're like, no, that's not vegetarian or that's not vegan anyways.
Mhm.
And so I'm seeing them eating meat and being healthy and the way they raise their livestock and how they care for it. They don't have conventional dairies where the cows are packed in together and like they're all out, happy cows grazing in the grass. It's gorgeous in the countryside there. And they don't have a problem with their food system. So, um, a lot of the French people that I worked with encouraged me to just try it. Like, Kristin, what do you have to lose? Like, you might actually enjoy the taste of it. And it's so different here. And I did. So I embraced the culture. I embraced the lifestyle. I tried a piece of filet mignon from this like organic grass-fed farm that was down the road from the restaurant. And something changed in my body. Intuitively, I knew that I had been missing this all along. And I think when you are malnutritioned or you're missing certain vitamins and minerals that are important for your health, your body tunes into that. So then fast forward, I went to nutrition school and then learned the deficiencies that you can actually accumulate being a vegan or a vegetarian, like zinc deficiency, B12 deficiency. And those are important for digestion and they're also important for mood. So if you do have symptoms of depression and you have a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, it's something to look into and see if you have those deficiencies. Did I miss a question in there? I might have missed
No,
one of
no,
your
you
questions.
were perfect. I'm just so fascinated, by everything that you're saying. I just trying to put together in my mind. So you were born and raised in the U.S. Was it in Northern California?
Yeah, Central Valley, the Modesto area, which is where I'm close to right now.
Okay, which is a beautiful area too, and so you spent a little bit of time in China, and then you spent some time teaching English in France. Was it in Paris or was it in the countryside? What's the
Yes, so I was living in Paris and I was teaching in a little town like 30 minutes from Paris in Sèvres. And their transportation is amazing. So it was so easy to make that commute. But I had so much vacation time with my contract, like the European lifestyle fit me so well. And I was able to take a lot of time off and travel to the north and to the south and see the different like regional cuisines and the way of life. So it was very influential on me.
Yeah, I can totally believe it. I spent a little more than 2 weeks in France, and I was really lucky. I was really lucky on this trip because I had a friend, her sister lived in Paris. And
Mhm.
she said, I'm going to go visit her, going to be gone for a couple of weeks or so. You should come. And I was in this like in between jobs. I was like, I'm not sure what I was doing. And she's like, you really got to come. If you're not, you need to clear your mind, you get away, you just got to come. So I was like, who refuses a trip to Paris anyways?
Right.
I was like,
Can't pass it up.
it was really hard to even say no. So I just went, I went, and I tell people this story because I was there and I didn't have to pay for room and board. And her sister's family lived there. They got a couple of nannies because they have two little young kids, and that's a lot of the culture over there is like that. That the nannies
Mhm.
would take care of the kids. They stay home, they cook, they shop, they do everything. They do that in England too. So, long story short, I was fed very well because I didn't have to go find my own food, get accommodations. I could really, really just focus on enjoying Paris. And I
Mhm.
had probably like the best, most amazing time. And then the second week, I didn't really know all the agenda. She just like, pack your bags, I'm going to buy the ticket. You just pay me back. Just come. And so they had booked a villa in the south of France in the
Oh,
Bordeaux
wow.
area. And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, okay, well, we already booked the train. You're good. We're going to hop on the train. We're going to go down there for a week. There's like 7 rooms in the villa. You can take one of them. It's all
Wow.
good. And then the nannies all came with us.
Yes, that's
So,
not uncommon. Yeah.
so nannies come, they take care of the kids, they go shopping, they cook, sometimes we go to the restaurants and stuff like that. So I just got fully pampered. So I really got to, kind of like you said, eating the French food. I was walking in the small towns. I was picking fruits from like people's yards because it was just hanging over the sidewalk,
I love that.
and it's just the scenery was gorgeous. I never saw like any like animal factories. Like I saw just, few cows hanging around and they got this, I don't know how many acres, like 5, 10 acres, and they're just wide open. They're just, walking,
Right.
around eating, just in their natural state. And just to look at them, I was just so relaxed. And then everywhere I went in the town, they always had local meats, local food, local specialty. And at this one time we had pizza there in like this tiny little town. And even the pizza, everything was localized.
Mhm.
So it
It's
was like probably
beautiful.
one of the best pizza I ever had. And I was like,
I
oh my
bet it
God.
was.
But really what I realized was the ingredients of everything that they have, everything, including the wines and stuff like that. And people tell me like, hey, I can't drink this wine or can't drink that wine. And sometimes I break out because of this type of wine or champagne or whatever. And over there, everything's organic. They don't label anything organic, as you probably can attest to that. And
Right.
um, I don't drink a whole lot, but when I drink wine here, I do have a reaction to it.
Yes, same here. I do too.
Right. And so when I was over there, wine basically comes with every meal. And so I was drinking some of the wine there. And after a couple of days, I was just enjoying it. I didn't have any reactions
Mhm.
whatsoever. So from that experience, I totally understand what you're talking about with how everything is grown. And there's such an agricultural country, and food is such a sacred thing to them that they really prepare and take care of everything from farm to table. I mean, we think it's like this great movement here, farm to table, but over there it's like, well, we don't know anything else.
Exactly. They're like, we've been doing this for ages since the
Yeah.
beginning of time.
So,
Yeah.
fast forward to now. So you're certified. Could you tell everybody a little bit about what you're certified in and what you're specialized in for people that use you to help with their issues, with their health issues and gut issues?
Yes. So I have a couple different certifications, primarily the holistic nutrition. And so that's all diet, lifestyle component. And I specialize in food intolerances or food allergies. I've worked with celiac before because I'm really familiar with that, autoimmune issues. Alopecia is sort of in the category of an autoimmune issue. And digestive disorders, that's another one of my specialties as well. And even low thyroid, because that's like an epidemic right now for women. And so that's something I'm really passionate about too. But in terms of HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis, that's a specific lab test that practitioners can use to really get a lot of clues about an individual's health. And it's an affordable test. That's the test I started out using when I was trying to figure out what the heck was wrong with me. But it basically just shows mineral deficiencies, the interrelation of minerals, and heavy metal exposures. So what you do with that test is you actually send a sample of your hair, and it's about inch and a half worth of hair. So that's about 3 months average of any heavy metals like mercury that you've been exposed to or aluminum. And then there's markers for digestive health, like stomach acid is a marker that you can see on that test, which is really, really important in terms of absorbing our protein and having proper digestion and proper vitamins and minerals. There's a thyroid insufficiency marker, there's an adrenal marker, a blood sugar marker, as well as a slow versus fast metabolism marker. And it's a really, really cool test that's been around since the 70s. And I will say that there are a lot of practitioners that run it but don't know how to read it, because there's not a lot of programs that teach it to you. It's kind of an old school test. And so only now recently are there people who are like, I'm going to create a course on this and I'm going to put it online because nobody knows how to read this test. And so I've been fortunate to have a really good teacher that taught me how to read the test correctly. And so that's a really good place to start if somebody's never done any lab testing with a health coach or nutritionist, and some medical physicians will run that test for you as well. And then in terms of FDN, functional diagnostic nutrition, that you may have heard the term functional medicine. This is a newer, more advanced medicine that's looking for root causes of illnesses rather than treating symptoms. They're looking at symptoms non-specifically and just measuring the certain systems in the body, like your cortisol rhythm, which looks at your cortisol throughout the day. So if you have any fluctuations in that are extreme, that can show you if there's blood sugar imbalance, if there's possible sleep disturbances or pathogen disturbances. And so these lab tests are really critical. They show things like immune health, hormones, digestion, detoxification, the energy system, and the nervous system. And basically you get really good at reading lab tests and seeing like possible imbalances or dysfunction, and then you treat it through diet and lifestyle protocols. So if somebody's cortisol is imbalanced throughout the day, you're going to look at sleep hygiene. Are they going to bed by 10 o'clock? Are they waking up in the middle of the night because their blood sugar has dipped? Maybe they need to have a protein-rich snack before they go to bed so they stay asleep the whole night. Is it possible that their melatonin is low? And melatonin is our sleep hormone. We make 75% of that in our guts. And so if your melatonin is low, that could be a clue that you have possible digestive issues. And so there's all these little nuances in the test that we get to read. And sometimes I feel like a CSI, like crime agent, where I'm putting all these pieces together for this individual and then correlating that to their symptoms to see if the lab tests and their symptoms correlate. Because you never want to treat the test, you want to treat the person individually. So it's better to, work with the person, get to know the person, hear what their symptoms are, then read the test, look at that and see if the two correlate. And it's actually really fun. I find it kind of exciting.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm so fascinated with all of that. Like, it's just because, we can, there's so many things happening with us in our body that, but we don't know how to interpret what this means or what that means based on what you're feeling, certain symptoms that's happening if you're not sleeping as well. Well, they just, people just say, oh, maybe I'm just stressed out. But there's so many hormones and things like that happen in your body, you just don't know. So, but I think right now everybody's got like plenty of hair to spare. We should just go do the test.
Right.
Nobody's getting their haircuts right now.
Oh, that's true. Very good point.
I know I got way more hair than I normally carry.
Yes.
So we definitely can do tests. So anybody that's working with you, like just in general, we just probably order a test, kind of listen to maybe what kind of general symptoms they might be having, order a test that kind of covers everything. You study them, you kind of analyze it for them, and then you just basically make some recommendations and see if changes are happening, if it needs to be retested to kind of see if it's improved or anything like that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, exactly. And ideally, you want to be retesting every 3 to 4 months. And typically, with the HTMA tests, the hair tests, we're going to be working on balancing minerals, binding up heavy metals if there is some sort of heavy metal exposure. Like I just had a client, I got back her test, and we've already been working together for several months, and she invested in a fantastic water filter. And so I'm thinking her, she's not going to have very many heavy metals, but her mercury was off the charts. And I haven't seen mercury this high in someone actually throughout the tests that I've run. And so I haven't had our session with her yet, but I'm basically put together a checklist of mercury exposures for her that she can, just look at her everyday lifestyle. And, I'll give you one example: eye contact solution. Many people wear eye contacts. And eye contact solution, the conventional brands do contain mercury. And so you're putting that in your eyeball every single day. That's going directly into your bloodstream. And so you have an exposure there. And even right now, everybody's using Lysol, they're using bleach, they're using all these disinfectants, which also contain mercury. So we're exposing ourselves on that level to heavy metals as well. So it's just good to be mindful about it. And when you see this test and you have this in front of you, you have proof, you're like, okay, I need to change something because mercury is not healthy. So that's something that I'm going to be talking about with her this week. But there's other things too. Like for me personally, hair loss is my passion. And I say I manage it because health is not linear. It's ever changing. We're always exposed to new things, new stressors, new jobs, new relationships. And so our health is ever changing and not linear. So in that sense, I've had periods of my life where the hair loss just went completely away. And then I've had periods in my life where the hair loss came back. And that's where I have to start asking myself all the diet and lifestyle questions. Like, am I sleeping enough? Am I stressed about something? Maybe I need to see if there's a heavy metal I'm exposed to. And actually, I recently ran the test on myself and I had really high levels of uranium, like extremely high. And then doing some further investigative work, I find out that where I live, there has been problems with uranium in the water, and my particular water filter does not filter uranium. So I have to change that.
I know probably most people's filters don't filter for
Most of
it.
them don't. You're exactly right. Yeah, most of them.
I investigated some of the water systems before because I used to run aquariums for marine aquariums. And so
Okay.
we need to put clean water in
Mm-hmm.
to make the salt water. And, we do the same thing. We take that salt water, we send it to a lab. They give us all the minerals that are in it and tell us what the levels should be for everything. So I got fascinated with that kind of stuff, and then transition that to drinking water, knowing that like, hey, we need to filter that stuff out. But conventional filters, I learned that it does not really filter out anything except just the big pieces of particles, just the big pieces of
Yes.
heavy metals, and we were testing for total solids in there, and we can get that down, and that's generally pretty good, but we can't filter out um, it's not chlorine, but it's a boramine or something like that, a replacement chemical that they use um, uh, to disinfect the water.
Chlorine?
It's not chlorine, it's
Not
another
chlor-
one that's similar to it.
Oh, okay. It's in that
Yeah,
like
but it's
category on the periodic table.
yeah, it's that same disinfectant category.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily harm you, but that necessarily isn't good for you either. And I
Right.
know there's not really any consumer filters that really filters that out.
Yeah, there are very few I've found, and thankfully the programs I've taken have guided me in the right direction so I can give that to my clients as well. But your basic Brita filter is not going to be filtering for uranium, unfortunately. And a lot of people are using just a basic Brita. So you really have to invest in your health at that point. And I always recommend like a Berkey filter. You might have heard of that. It's a standing stainless steel filter, and the other one is the Pure Effects Ultra filter, which is fantastic for uranium. So people in the Central Valley that live here should probably invest in something like that if they don't already have it.
I think that's that whole water um, filtration and water health and hydration. That's gonna have to be like, I'm gonna have to bring you back for a separate.
Okay.
Let's
I'm not an expert, but I've definitely learned a lot over the
yeah,
years.
there's so much, and I'm sure probably better than most, because you're looking at tests all the time and what's common in people. That's really great what you said about mercury. The other thing that came to mind about mercury is that we eat seafood and fish, and there's a lot of mercury in there. So that's probably one of the bigger, common sources of mercury that I know of, but I had no idea about the contact lens solutions and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of that. And even like the metal fillings in our mouth, those as well, they have sort of like a gas that they give off over the years in our body. So that can create symptoms of fatigue, for example. But then sushi is a really big one. If you're eating sushi a couple times a week, then you definitely have probably some metals going on in your body. So it's good to be aware of it.
So I want to give the audience some more practical kind of applications and information. So
Sure.
can you give us some some of the things that you commonly see from people that kind of come to you and ask you questions about their symptoms? And what are some common things that you see all the time that that you've been able to kind of help people with, that most people might have those same symptoms but not know it, not know what to do? Maybe they're semi-mild, but then it's not good for you long term. Just kind of like your everyday things that you
Sure.
hear about and see.
Yeah, I would say number one is fatigue. Everybody's tired. And in my opinion, it comes down to minerals. I feel like, because of soil depletion, because of poor water, because of our broken food system, unfortunately, we're not getting enough vitamins and minerals in the diet. And minerals are really important for overall energy, for cardiovascular health, for thyroid health. Also, like potassium is so underutilized. And these are also referred to as electrolytes. So when we go work out, like, all the gym buffs or the people that work out, they're familiar with electrolytes. And, it's important if we're sweating a lot to replenish those electrolytes. But I don't think there's as much emphasis as there should be because of the other variables like the soil depletion and the poor water. So fatigue is one, and I think minerals could easily be addressed with that and should be addressed. And if you haven't worked with a practitioner that's addressing it, then find one that does, because potassium, magnesium, those are critical for your energy, for blood sugar balance, for sleep, for weight loss. Those two in general are game changers. The other thing is thyroid issues with women. It's an epidemic, low thyroid, Hashimoto's. Again, these are severely depleted illnesses or diseases, if you want to call it that. I like to just call it imbalances because I truly believe everybody can fix their issues and heal or balance their body. And so in terms of low thyroid, you're seeing a lot of iodine deficiency because iodine's not in the soil anymore. Along with other minerals like magnesium, for example. That's also kind of correlates with the low thyroid symptoms. Digestive issues. I feel like 80% of the United States has a digestive issue. And if they don't, they probably have really good ability to handle stress and maybe even strong genetics too, or they just eat really healthy. But yeah, I think digestive issues are an epidemic, not only because of the high stress in our lifestyle. When we stress, it actually shuts down the digestive process. Essentially, it's not prioritized in the body when you're in the fight or flight response, because you're preparing your body to fight a threat of some sort. Your body's not focused on digestion. So yeah, we have to get out of that stress state, get back into the parasympathetic, which is the sort of rest, digest state, instead of the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight. That helps with digestion, number one. But on top of that, eating high quality food, which unfortunately, since we're so busy, we're just picking up fast food from the fast food chains or restaurants, and we don't really know what the quality of the food is, and more than likely it's genetically modified or it's highly sprayed. And so I would just say, in terms of digestion, my goal is to get everybody to be eating high quality foods that are pesticide free, anti-inflammatory foods that are not highly processed, like gluten, soy, dairy. All of those are highly processed. So try to get people away from those to fix their digestive issues. But yeah, I would say fatigue, low thyroid, digestion. Those are the big ones. And then there's a cascade of other things that will happen, like hormone issues down the line. Like I know women are really concerned with hormones, but there's like fundamental causes to all of that you have to address first. And just by changing your diet and your lifestyle can make a huge impact on all of those.
Yeah, that's a really great point about especially the digestion part. Um, I I saw somebody who was a specialist in biofeedback and neurofeedback, and so that was the first time. This was a couple of years ago. It's the first time somebody explained to me that our autonomic system should be working in concert. Those
Yes.
are things that are happening in your body that are happening automatically without you telling it what to do, such as your heart, such as your digestion, such as your lungs. You're going to breathe normally, but when they are not in balance, then they don't work normally. So like you said, if you're stressed out, your body's gonna shut down those autonomic systems to
Yes.
compensate for your stress, because, well, you can't be running away from a lion, if you're hungry.
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So and one of the most amazing things is showing me how breathing and can cause you to decrease your stress, and a way of breathing, which is kind of along the same lines as meditation,
Yes.
to put your mind into a hypnotic state, almost
Mhm.
like not quite asleep, but like this in between state of wake and sleep where you're really
Yes.
calm. And he was measuring my heartbeat and heart rate. And just for people who are listening, in between each heartbeats, you have these little stutters in between the beats. And if you're stressed, then these stutters become more pronounced. It's sort of like it's not beating in a nice rhythm, but it was
Right.
stuttered in the middle. And it's really hard to detect until you put sensors on it to test for your heartbeat. And if you start to do the breathing exercises, you can feel those stutters start to decrease over
Yes.
time. And then not only that, if you continue to do those exercises to calm yourself down, to decrease your stress, over time, your heart amplitude will go up.
Hmm.
So it's almost like, it beats from energy from electricity. And so when you have a weak beat, that means not enough electricity is getting to the heart to be able to beat strongly. And if your heart's not beating strongly, then it's not pumping all the blood supply properly to your entire body. And
Right.
therefore, you might feel fatigued, you might feel tired out, you might get out of shape because you don't your body is just not working at its optimal. So that was a great thing that I learned about that. But main thing, um, I think everybody, has, like you said, issues with their gut health. So what you mentioned about like getting good nutritious food, and stay away from processed food. But what should people be kind of lean toward buying and eating to get the nutrition that they need and to keep out all the toxins?
Yeah, I like to follow what I was taught from Bowman College, which it's the soul, um, the phrase soul. Basically, what it stands for is seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local. And so ideally, you want to get the food as close to the source as possible because that ensures that you're getting the most nutrient dense foods or nutrient density possible because it's not traveling a long distance. And not only on top of that, but you want to get spray free or pesticide free. And then ideally, you want to be getting it seasonal. So Mother Nature's perfect, and it has specific foods that are in season all throughout the different seasons throughout the year, like spring, summer, fall, winter, and these rotate. So there's a reason why we can't get strawberries all year long because they, first of all, don't grow under those conditions. But second of all, they wouldn't have the nutritional value that we need during that time period. And I'll just give you an example, like during the winter season, when we have cold and flu viruses break out, for example, like normal, citrus is readily available in most places, in most countries, and citrus is very high in vitamin C. And we know that vitamin C actually revs up the immune system. It's full of antioxidants, and it helps us to combat things like colds and viruses and flus. So I think following the natural rhythm that Mother Nature has already created is a really powerful tool for us to utilize. And not only that, but supporting your local farmers, because they're the ones doing it right half the time. You know, they're in it. I think it's important in general to support your local economy and local businesses. So yeah, the phrase that I like to use is SOL, seasonal, organic, unprocessed, local. But there's also a lot of great CSAs, which are community supported agriculture boxes. And so if you are really busy and you work full time and you don't have time to go to the farmer's market or to go to your local farmer, you can order these boxes online and have them delivered to your home. And they actually are a group of local organic farmers that put all of their great produce in a box for you. And they even include recipes and make it real easy. And you can have it delivered to your door. So we don't have a lot of excuses anymore with today's, technology. We have everything at our fingertips to eat healthy and eat well.
Yeah, I love that so much. I've been going to the farmers market every weekend for probably at least 5 years, and
Oh, very good.
just locally down here. And if I always tell people, like, if I don't go to the farmers market, I don't eat that week.
That's a good rule.
I know. I have to supplement some things,
Mhm.
from the grocery store, but as much as I can, the fresh produce I get from the farmers market. And these last couple of weeks been super hard because farmers market aren't running over here anymore,
Oh, yeah.
because
Okay.
people can't be gathering, and because of
Hmm.
coronavirus, they just shut the markets down. There are a couple of them in the area that are doing drive-through, which is okay. But I miss the experience, and I miss the food there and all that stuff. I'm just trying to like make it through this this
Yeah,
shut.
that's hard, especially if you're used to it. And then, me living in France, they have them everywhere. And, you would just find such amazing things that you can't even find in the grocery store, actually. And the quality is so much better. The taste is so much better. And then on top of it, you're getting that higher nutrient density. The vitamins and minerals are richer because it's not traveling a long distance. So that is really a key thing to remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. You can feel it. Like I remember when I was in France, I was having duck like every night, you know, and all this stuff. And they don't give you like huge portions, but then I felt so satisfied and fulfilled. I didn't really need to eat any more food. Like normally here, like I feel like I have to eat double the portions for some reason.
Right.
But over there, I didn't feel like that at all.
And
Um,
that's your body telling you that you're not getting enough nutrition. When you have cravings and you're never satisfied, you're just basically malnutrition. You need higher density foods. So when nutritionists talk about superfoods or nutrient density, we're talking about things that you can get more vitamins and minerals to feel satisfied, to feel satiated, so that you're not reaching for unhealthy foods like snacks that are processed or easy to find.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times I tell people like, hey, if it's packaged, I kind of don't want it. I would, if I can find an alternative, something that I can see. Like I asked those farmers like earlier on when I was going to the farmers market, like, hey, when did you guys pick this? Like, oh, we picked it like 3 hours ago this morning, like crack of dawn. Like there's still dirt and everything on it. I'm like, okay, great. But I had a question for you regarding that. So if it's certified, so I tend to buy certified organic, but there's some vendors who are not certified, but they don't spray pesticides, on
Mhm.
the plant itself and the fruit itself.
Yes.
But the fertilizers and things like that are not organic, as I understand it. So, what is your kind of take on that?
Well, we're living in an imperfect world. So even when it says certified organic, that doesn't mean that you're getting exposed to some kind of like heavy metal in the water, for example, that they're using. And actually, I will tell you with certified organic, they use copper sulfate typically, which is a certified organic. Um, it's considered a fertilizer or pesticide, but um, basically that can influence your health as well. And it can throw off the zinc in your body if you're consuming that over and over and over. So, even organic is not perfect, but it cuts down on the hundreds of other pesticides that are being sprayed, and specifically Roundup or glyphosate, which is what we totally want to avoid, especially for digestive health. So certified organic, it's like 98 to 99% organic. That's what it said. Whether or not that's true, we don't really know, but that ensures you're not getting a plethora of pesticide exposure. I will say those farms tend to be larger, and they have to pay for that certification. And the last time I checked, it was like $10,000 or $15,000. So it's very expensive. It's not easily attainable for the small farmer that is not wealthy and rich and have all that money available. So the best thing you can do is actually ask your farmer face to face, do you spray? And, most of the time they're going to tell you the honest truth. And I have had farmers tell me both. Yes, I spray. We have to spray because of this reason, that reason. I know that's not true. You don't have to spray if you have other methods intact. And I choose not to consume those foods. But then there's the small farmers that are doing it absolutely right and trying their best. And they will tell you, like, we don't spray at all. We try our best to stay away from it, but, nothing's 100% perfect. And they know that too. So I think it's just good to know your farmers, have a relationship with them, connect with them, because again, they're feeding you. That's really important. And, we should respect that and value that. So it's good to have a conversation about it.
Yeah. I just have a quick personal question. I want to be respectful of your time. So
sure.
we'll kind of wrap up pretty soon here. So you mentioned like things are seasonal. So here in California, I know that a lot of fruits, mostly fruits and some vegetables are only available like around this time, and then they kind of cut off sometime in the summer, I think, if I remember correctly, and then up until like middle of winter when they start to come back. So it's almost like half of the year. So how do you substitute those minerals that you would normally have? Because I was like, oh my God, like this time of the year, I'd be buying like buckets of strawberries, blueberries, and everything, and all of a sudden, like 1 week, or like no more, we're all done. They're not coming back anymore. So what should well, more specifically, what should I like supplement during those times when that's not available?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on where you live. And we have to say we're really lucky in California because other states are not. And so in my area, for example, we're like the agricultural hub of California and the world, as we feed like a third of the world with our food. And so I personally don't find that I run out of something, because like, for example, blueberries are coming up. It's blueberry season, and there's a local farmer down the road from me that allows the public to come and pick blueberries, and it's really awesome. But blueberries are a quick fruit. Like they're maybe a few weeks, like 4 weeks at the most, maybe 5, just depending on the weather. But what's nice is that after the blueberries, you get strawberries. And then after the strawberries, you end up getting all of the like peaches and apricots. And it just like keeps flowing in my area. So I never have a gap. So I guess you'll have to tell me specifically, is it because you can't get a hold of like the next crop that's in rotation, or?
I think my substitute, what tends to happen when the berries are gone, is that I go into more of the harder stone fruits.
Yeah,
and
stone fruits.
Apples, and there's like peaches and stuff like that. But then after that, there seems like a gap of nothing until the berries come back.
Like in the wintertime?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you get in the winter over there?
Persimmons.
Persimmons.
So, which, yeah, they're high in vitamin C. You will also see, I think it's the Asian pears that come out. I get figs like more towards like September, I think. But apples in the winter season, you can get those all throughout the winter, and you'll still see citrus persimmons come up as well. So what's nice is going online and you can look up a list. I probably have one on my website, to be honest, where it gives you like all the seasonality of the fruits and vegetables. And there's great, I'm pretty sure there's apps that do that, even the CSAs. In fact, that would ensure that you're getting the best of the best, the highest quality, and a good mix is if you were subscribed to a CSA, because again, it's coming from a local farmer and they're delivering it to your door. So
Yeah,
that might be helpful.
that might be helpful to look it up.
Yeah, because there is a lot, like Mother Nature, I'm telling you, it's perfect. It never lets us down.
Yeah, I know. It's us that fight the Mother Nature and causes
Yes.
problems. So I love your background. Your story is amazing. I'm so glad. I mean, um, you're you're an inspiration because a lot of people get really ill and they don't know what to do, and they could be chronically ill for a long time and not be able to do anything about it. You've taken a lot of steps to learn, work your body, and now are able to help other people. And then you describe some of the testing methods and stuff like that. I think that's super great. I would love to do the hair test. It sounds like it's probably one to start with. Can you
Yes.
tell people like how much that hair test usually goes for?
Yeah, it's $65 on my website. I know other health practitioners charge different prices, but I offer it for $65, and that's just the test. It doesn't include a consultation. And the test, I will say, is a little bit challenging to read. So the average person is going to look at it and go, oh my God, what is all of this? But again, you get a lot of bang for your buck with that test. There's a lot of different markers. And I think the most interesting part is whether you're being exposed to heavy metals and it's showing in the hair. So that's important. But yeah, you can definitely go to my website. The name of my business is actually called Eat Your Greens Out. So instead of eat your heart out, it's Eat Your Greens Out, and you can go there. I have tons of information on health. Like you can just type in the search bar, and I'm sure I wrote a blog post about it. And you can also get the tests through my website as well.
So what do people need to do? Let's say if they have, um, uh, certain symptoms that they've been dealing with for a while. It's kind of mysterious. They're not really sure. Um, they could contact you and start with a like initial consultation. Do you charge like a special price or anything like that for initial consultation? Just kind of talk through and get started, see if it's the right fit that, for you to help them. And then maybe you would recommend some tests. Can kind of describe like how would somebody like work with you?
Yeah, so anybody can call me and I offer like a 15-minute discovery call just to make sure that we're the right fit and I'm the right person to work with you. Because there are a lot of different health coaches and nutritionists, and a lot of us have our specialties, and we're more knowledgeable in certain areas. So that's how I like to have a conversation with the individual first and make sure we're going in the right direction. And then, yes, I would suggest at least the initial consultation, which is an hour-long session with me. And we go over your health history, we go over possible toxicity exposures, your current diet and lifestyle, and then your goals. Ultimately, like what are your health goals and what do you want to achieve? And then we come up with a game plan about how we're going to get there. And then obviously I'm not the be all end all. I do make referrals if there's like emotional support that's needed, or if I feel like acupuncture or massage might be utilized well for this person, or even going to their doctor and just asking more strategic questions. Like I love to coach people in that. But a 1 hour consult, I've actually been doing a special until the end of April for $89 due to this pandemic. And I know money's tight for a lot of people right now. So I feel like, I want to offer something that everybody can access. But I may be changing my business model a little bit in the future. So if you are interested in working and money's an issue, I would encourage you to reach out sooner than later, because I have found working with people in just one and done sessions, we don't get the results that we would like to see because I can't work magic. And having at least 3 sessions will be of value to the individual to reach their health goals, whether it's weight loss or just improving energy or digestive issues. So yeah, I mean, right now, jump on the $89. It might change though in the future.
Yeah, I try to tell people as much as possible, you know, your health is probably the biggest, the best investment you could ever make in your
Yes,
entire life. You know,
absolutely.
because without your health, you literally have nothing.
I
Doesn't
feel that
matter, doesn't
100%.
matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how many cars you have,
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't matter anything. Because if you feel better, you will do better, and then everything else just, you know, falls into place. So I'm a true believer in that. So with that, what is, you know, I started doing this recently with my guests. What is one quote that you can share with the audience that could possibly inspire them?
I have a lot. And to be honest, I had one chosen, but I think my favorite is health is not linear. And I don't even know who coined that one. But to be honest, health again is ever changing, like I mentioned before. And I'm not perfect. Like just because, you know, I do really well at managing my diagnoses, like the alopecia, for example, it doesn't mean I'm cured forever and like it's never going to come back. I always have to be mindful about my diet and my lifestyle on a daily basis, not just check in monthly, you know, or yearly. We really have to prioritize our health, and it has to be something that we take into consideration every day from the time that we wake up in the morning to the time that we go to bed. So just know that. And I do think it's important to give people hope also. Like, I am a testimony that, you know, just because you receive a diagnosis doesn't mean you're going to have to live with it forever and have to deal with it forever. There's like tools to manage it, and you can feel better and you can balance your health and start to feel good. And it's just taking those steps daily to acknowledge yourself, invest in yourself, love yourself, and yeah, just take the time to take care of yourself on a daily basis, because we all deserve that. And again, we are the number one investment, you know, our health, and nobody's going to do that for us except ourselves.
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody, take the 15-minute free call. We'll, we'll,
Yeah,
leave, we'll leave your information, you know, in the post and in the comments and stuff like that. And, you know, I really just, you know, just, I'm such a people person, and I hate seeing people suffering for no reason when there's people like you that can help them, and there's solutions out there. You don't have to live with the pain. You don't have to live with discomforts and things that could possibly turn into, you know, some kind of disease that you can prevent now. There's a lot of,
right.
unfortunately, kind of enemies out there with the chemicals and things like that that are available to us that are putting bad things into our body that we can help to prevent and live a happy life and sleep well, do well, you know, and all that great stuff. Thank you so much, Kristin.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
really a wealth of knowledge. I know that I'm gonna have to invite you back at least, like, you know, once a month or something like that. Because,
Yeah, like a wellness,
yeah,
once a
that's
month
right.
wellness
That's
topic.
right. That's right. I feel like we can tackle, like, uh, do a deep dive on any of those topics, and it'll be super helpful, you know, to everybody. And again, hire Kristin, talk to her, tell her all your problems, get it diagnosed, and get well. Thank you so much. And the last thing I'll mention is that um, I have a private Facebook group called OC Lifestyles. I try to post there um, regularly to give people community news and things like that. You know, when the farmers market shut down, I put my information there so people know what's going on and give tips about where they can get their food. Just anything for our community here. I know Kristin is not necessarily here locally, but I've heard so much great things about her and her expertise. I really want to have her on to serve our local community here, to see if she can give us information that's gonna keep us healthy. I mean, during this time of pandemic, that's all we're thinking about is how do we stay healthy? How do we not get infected? How do we keep our immune system up and, eat the right things to, keep our gut health well and the rest of our body well and reduce that stress. So that's it for now. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Kristin, and I will talk to you all soon.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, everybody watching. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.